Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. Finally, we are recording this. Taruni, Radha, over to you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Now we'll start with the Mangala Charanam. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for joining tonight's session, dear devotees. The topic today is the nuances of respect. As you must be aware that one of the most popular verses of the Shikshashtakam, the teachings that our uh, very dear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left, the 8 verses of Shikshashtakam, in that the third verse speaks about Trinadapi Samichanam, Tarorava Sahishtana, Amani Manadena, Kirtanyastata Hari. So today, the third part, one is to be very humble. The next one is to be very tolerant. The third and the fourth points, which Mahaprabhu teaches us, and he said this verse has to be strong, and then on your neck you can just keep it, or on your hand, all the time, so that it's just a reminder. This is the way of spiritual life, spiritual culture. It depends on how we are able to give respect, but yet not expect respect from others. So just to dig a little deeper, what is respect actually? Respect means you're valuing somebody or something. You are honoring it, understanding it has some some significance. It has an inherent quality of divine goodness which is invested in it, right? So you are understanding it and acknowledging it by respecting either the person or things. And this is so important. Like my Guru Maharaj says, respect is the fabric of every relationship. So even to have devotee relationships, or even relationships outside our devotee communities, respect is still very mandatory. It is the fabric of relationships. That's the term that Maharaj says. So yes, we need to understand why is it so important. Because if we are not able to respect, what happens? We're just looking at the differences, right? The more the person can also be different. We acknowledge the differences also when we are respecting. Otherwise, we'll just be thinking about things which are not, the aspects which are not common. And then we can just slide down towards faults. And then from faults, it can just be like criticism. And then it can just, degrade to blasphemy. And then a lot of other issues can just drop in. So very important is to understand. Apart from, something might be of a very high regard or value. You look up to it, it's very easy to respect. But what if somebody is very different? Either, many things can just, set the person, different. Perhaps it's the social status, or maybe it's their economic, or maybe it's the way they think, the way they feel, or anything about their orientation. Everything can be different. So now what? Will you be able to still respect? Yes, we need to still respect them. Why? Because they belong to Krishna. They are part and parcel of Krishna. So when we understand that, right, and we give prominence to the fact that this particular soul is trying to establish their connection back with Krishna in this life, maybe they're running towards Krishna. Maybe they're taking small strides, or they're crawling towards Krishna. Nonetheless, they are moving towards Krishna. Now, when I say that, right, it doesn't mean that only this applies only to devotees and it doesn't apply to non-devotees. We should never make that that kind of division or like that kind of a thinking. Only because what were we before we became devotees? Right, before we came into the sangha of the association of devotees, we were also living a life, a very animalistic life, right? And then by the mercy of devotees, we understood, and then we said yes to the mercy that was being given to us, the door which was open to us. We said yes, and we wanted to walk through this door of devotional service. Same way, these other souls who are just wondering, they will also say yes someday, whenever it happens. May if it might not be in this lifetime, it can be in many other lifetimes. We don't know. But you never know when it can happen or when it cannot happen. So we just cannot judge and say that and term them as non-devotees. We can just call them as potential devotees. And then just by, just having a change of perspective, then definitely our respect towards them grows, right? Sometimes there are people who just disrespect, thinking like they are not a devotee. We can see in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, he was not a pure devotee yet. But when Suruchi, when she insults Dhruva Maharaj, he is not a pure devotee. She insults him, and then Mother Suniti says, "Yes, dear Dhruva, if you want any of your spiritual ambitions to be, anything that you want to fulfill, you need to go and approach Vishnu. And Vishnu, the great sages say, is found in the forest. When you do meditation, you can find Vishnu. Follow that particular advice that what Suruchi has told, because she understands, that she's my co-wife and she has got no she dislikes me, and hence the same dislike is coming towards the child too. Dhruva is just a child, and then Dhruva goes and then he finds Vishnu. But then the whole fact that when Dhruva becomes a pure devotee, he has darshan of the Lord. He comes back. When he comes back, he is respecting Suruchi as much as he respects Suniti, his own mother. The bad feeling that he had in his heart just dissipates. Why? Because of the awakening of pure bhakti towards Krishna. So that is the power of bhakti. And apart from that, the other point that I wanted to touch upon over here is now he's become a devotee. I mean, pure devotee, Dhruva. But then the reaction of what Mother Surichi does to Dhruva, right? She has to, undergo it, right? Her son will be, burnt in the forest fire, and then she'll go mad, and then she will also go inside the forest searching for him. So this, they say in the Bhagavatam, is the reaction for the sin that she committed towards Dhruva, even though at that time he was not a devotee at that time. So this is the way it is. So if we are committing some offense towards another soul, thinking that okay, this person is not a devotee, this is gonna push us into the fact. This can also we need to remember the story of Suruchi and Dhruva, what happened. So this will keep us very much cautious of how we need to deal. So this is regarding what is respect. Next, let's go to the fact of why we need to respect. When we respect another person, right? In the beginning, our conception is just about I, and then slowly our conception develops with, I and God, and there's I is still a big capital I, and then slowly, the more we progress in our devotional service, it becomes I, capital I becomes a small I plus God, and then the focus is only on God. It doesn't mean that we just, we just our existence, our spiritual existence just evaporates, but then the whole idea is like Krishna is in the center, and we are doing everything to please Krishna. Serving him and pleasing him becomes the goal of life. So we are also part of, the whole, what do you say, the whole picture. But then before, it's like almost like a Venn diagram, the two circles are intersecting, I and God. And then slowly God becomes so big, it'll become like the center. And there'll be like concentric circles. God is in the center, then it's we, then it's like all our, all the people around us who are very close to us, and it just goes on in concentric circles. And then, but God is focused. He is there. So just because we are having that kind of a vision, our respect automatically goes to all the people who we are connected with. This is the way of spiritual life. Great souls, they see a lot of greatness in everything which is small also, and then they see smallness in themselves. This is the vision of great souls. They don't see anything as insignificant because their vision is, the Shastra Chakrishan. They don't see anything unrelated to Krishna. Everything they see in connection with Krishna. So as such, Krishna is always there in their consciousness. Anything Brahma says, right? And when you see anything unrelated um, in this material existence, unrelated to Krishna, that means you're an illusion, because everything is emanating from Krishna, either spiritual or material energy. Both of it are aspects of Krishna himself, right? So this is a perfect vision, and we need to cultivate it. Unless we become aware of it, right? It's very difficult to cultivate or even practice it. How can we even practice something which we are not even aware of? So hopefully this session will kind of broaden our vision and help us understand why we need to respect and what is the vision of great souls. And also, when we are very arrogant and proud, it is very difficult to become very dependent. And actually, in spiritual life, our entire progress and growth depends on becoming really dependent on Krishna and on Guru, on sadhus, right? So when we're not able to respect, that means what? We think that everything can be, managed by ourselves. We don't want to be dependent. We think everything is, everything runs the way I want. I'm the controller. I'm the enjoyer. When our world runs like that, right, dependency is not there. Without dependency, right, we cannot progress in spiritual life. So as such, we need to understand respecting others, becoming dependent on the right people is very important for growth. And we can see in the spiritual world also, all the other flowering plants which gives in beautiful flowers, they're all respecting a very humble tulsi plant. We have birds in the spiritual world, like the cuckoos and peacocks and parrots. They're all worshipping and they're all, respecting a humble bumblebee. Why? Because there's no, what do you say, competition. But then they're genuinely respecting another person's service and appreciating the service of a humble bumblebee, knowing that their own voice, they have been endowed with a fantastic voice, and the sounds that the cuckoo, the song of the cuckoo is like praised everywhere in this, in even ordinary poetry. Yet the cuckoo bird is saying the buzzing of the this humble bumblebee, which goes and hovers over the feet of Lord Vishnu. It's beautiful, that buzzing. Just imagine how much of respect. Again, this is possible because each of them are realizing the connection of these humble bumblebee or the Tulsi Maharani, the relationship of these Tulsi or the bumblebee with Krishna. When they're realizing that particular relationship and when they're realizing their own relationship with the Lord, they're able to respect. But then when we are like, sidelined, or we're just putting on, hood on our eyes and we're just able to see only ourselves, right? Then we're not able to respect. Then there will be, chances of offense, and then disrespecting is the start of, fall down. It seems like, it's either pride or envy because of which a person can actually slide and glide down to, spiritual degradation. But then the beginning of even not being able to give respect to another individual, this is the start. When you're not able to give respect, means what? You're very proud of yourself, or you're very envious of the other person. So by not giving respect, you're giving rise to pride and envy. And then from pride and envy, that is very duplicitous kind of a nature that people develop, kutinati. And then again, that will again further degrade us to, committing offenses or anarthas. And like this, we'll just be stuck in anartha nivritti stage, which is just like, cleansing all the things which are unwanted in the heart. All of this, when it kind of gets really cleared, then we reach the stage of nishta, which is steady bhakti. So we need to understand. We have touched a lot upon, envy and pride and, duplicitous nature. But why we are not able to do that? It's because of not being able to give respect. So that's the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amani Amana Dena Kirtaniya Satari. When we are not able to expect respect but give, then we are able to chant the holy names of the Lord Hari all the time. And then there is no disturbance in the mind because the mind is very peaceful because it's not expecting, but then it's giving. They say, right, if you want the whole world to love you, who's gonna love? But then when you want to love, who's gonna stop you from loving, right? When you want to give, nobody can stop. But then when you want to take from everybody, right? People can give or people may not give. It's a choice that they have. But then you have a choice. Do you want to give or do you want to just keep it to yourself? That's a choice you are making. So we should choose to give. When we give, our heart becomes very happy and joyous. We feel very grateful and happy. So that, that happiness will just help us to just chant. And there is no blockage. There's nothing which, what do you say? Nothing troubles our heart at that time. The heart, it becomes very simple because we're not expecting anything. So this is a very nice stage. And then, nothing keeps going on in the mind when we are chanting, oh, she did this, he did this. This is what happened. They did not do this. They did not, accept this position or my stance or my words or, all this, this kind of chattering which happens in the mind when we're chanting, all of it just goes away. And also this, the other point, the other day we were discussing about insignificance. When we realize our true spiritual insignificance, this also helps us to give respect and not expect respect from others. That's also very, very important, understanding our spiritual insignificance. Prabhupada says in the lecture. Very nice. He says when we understand our spiritual insignificance, then we can actually progress in spiritual life. It's the beginning. Then only we can take shelter of that which is really worthy of our shelter. You know, and that the Krishna who's worthy of giving shelter, we'll be able to take his shelter when we understand our insignificance. Otherwise, it's impossible. Without humility, without understanding it, right? It's very difficult to fall at the feet of Lord or accept Him wholeheartedly in our heart. It's not about the rituals that we are doing or, and the externality. Bhakti is not externality, or we are performing or we are doing arti and things like that. It's what's in our heart. It's about the emotions that is that is lying dormant, the awakening of those spiritual emotions towards Bhagavan, towards Krishna, the most merciful, most kind Lord. When that happens, right, that is bhakti. Krishna is looking at those intentions. He's hankering for our spiritual emotions, our love, our, he wants our heart. That's what Krishna wants. That is what we need to do. So bhakti is very internal, it's not external. As such, we should not even, discriminate people what they are doing and what they are not doing. It's just our conception. Sometimes we are just based looking and putting them in different buckets based on our conception, our views. But then what that other person has in their heart, only Krishna knows, only Guru knows how much of spiritual emotion that person has, or where they are in their bhakti. We cannot judge many times by just falling victim to this judging mentality, right? We are just making offenses. So we need to again be careful. So this judging will also not happen when we give respect. When we're giving respect to the other person, understanding that I don't understand, what they're really having, what do you say? What is the depth of their emotions, or the depth of bhakti. And then we'll be able to be very careful and then give respect to that person. Now let's just talk about respecting whom, right? First we spoke about what is respect, why we need to give respect, and now respecting whom. We need to respect starting from things, animals, time, and human beings also, right? So let's talk about first respecting things. So what we are it might sound very silly, it might sound very insignificant or trivial, but yet this is just a culture that we all have, especially when we have grown up in India. I can talk about myself. Growing up in India, even if I kind of by mistake kicked a bucket or something, my mother be like big don't kick, lift it and keep it over there. Don't kick the bucket or sometimes the bed sheets. It's like don't do it with your leg. Use your hand. Do it. And then say for example, I see sometimes in the temple, people are like using their feet to like push the mind. Use your hand. Do it with the hand. Lift it and then keep it. Sometimes people are just slamming the door, using their feet, just kicking the door shut. Use your hand. Do it very gently, no banging, just like that. When small things like this are taken, when we are paying attention and becoming very conscious and mindful in our small acts like this, then we can become very, very conscious of how we can deal with other people. Say, within our temple, in our temple kitchen, we have this very nice mixer grinder, which is very expensive. Somebody has donated, and then it's gone like within like a couple. It usually lasts in our home. We have the same mixie. It's lasted for more than like 6 7 years. I mean, it's still there. I bought it like 7 years ago. It's still working, very nice condition, and I use it almost every day. In a temple also, we are using it every day, but then this has just been recently bought, perhaps just not even 6 months, and it's already in such a bad state. So this is a paraphernalia in Radharani's kitchen, and then this is the state of the poor mixie. So when we are very cautious of the things that we are using, especially like in the temple, so what culture we are having in the home, the same thing gets extended in our temple, in our community, right? So how we are dealing with things also, they all belong to Krishna. They are Krishna's things to be used in Krishna's service. During the Navratri, we have a festival of Ugadi, not Ugadi, sorry. There's a festival during the Navratri where we are doing Ayuda Puja. Ayuda means Ayuda is with instruments. So all the instruments and vehicles, they're all we do puja for them. And then I used to be like, in the beginning, till very long time, I used to ask my mother, why are we just worshipping these things? They don't even have life. And then you're sitting and worshipping this scooter, this car, and so many things, Mama. This is like so, it sounds very silly. Why do you do that? But today, right, when I'm doing this, when I was doing this research with this topic, I realized why, because these things should be used. We need to see them in connection with Krishna, to be used in Krishna service. So that's the reason why we're doing it. It's not like very, we're just worshipping them separately without understanding their connection. So that's why when we understand why we do what we do, it becomes very deep. And then this culture of respect, this Vedic tradition has been continuing in our, Indian tradition, but we've lost significance as to why we do those things. But when we, understand it, right? My God, the kind of appreciation and gratitude that I was feeling was like very, very deep. So I wanted to share that. So apart from this, now we've finished, we are going through this topic of honoring whom or respecting whom. We finished things. Next is animals, right? Even insects, small insects, from small insects to cow, which is very, very sacred animal. We need to just respect them. We see like flies or like some, small bugs in the house. We don't have to kill them, just thinking they're like, oh, this insignificant thing, and just whap it. I remember my Maharaj. If even if there's a mosquito, he will make sure that he will kind of, slowly hold it like this in his hand and then go towards the window, pull it up, and then allow that little mosquito to fly away. There's a story of Andhra Prabhu. He was in Vrindavan doing this 24 hours kirtan. And then he had to travel and one time from outside Vrindavan. He had to go outside Vrindavan to probably Delhi or something, some function. And then in this car ride, there was this mosquito in the car, and it was like buzzing. And then they were leaving, they were almost about to leave Vrindavan and then step to the next city. And then Andhra Prabhu said, stop to the driver. He stopped the driver and then he kindly, he opened the window or the door and he made sure this particular insect, the mosquito, is left back in Vrindavan. And then this driver was like, why did you do that? And then he said, in the beginning, when we were traveling through Vrindavan, I thought like, I did not want to, disturb it. But then I suddenly realized it's a Vrajvasi. I don't want to take this particular mosquito outside Vrindavan. It's a Vrajvasi. I want him to be in Vrindavan. I don't want him to experience separation from the Dham. So this is the vision of, his grace, Andhra Prabhu. So this is how great souls think and see. Their vision is beautiful. The vision is always in connection with Krishna. So just because of this, you can understand, how they are, if they are able to treat even small insects like mosquito like this, imagine how they will deal with human beings, souls who are in this human body. They have a lot of respect when they are dealing with human beings or devotees especially. So, and then next is a food, right? When we are honoring food, prasadam, right? We should always pray. We should always pray and understand prasadam. Prabhu ka samne darshan. Pra is Prabhu. Sa is like samne. Darshan is having audience. Prabhu is Krishna. Samne is in front of you, right? So darshan is having the audience. So you're having the audience of Krishna right in front of you. That is the meaning of prasadam. Mahaprasadam is obviously the food, the bhoga, which has been offered to the deities in the temple. Very, very potent. So when we should not just think that we're just relishing this food, but then we should rather think that we are honoring prasadam. You know, I've heard great, so some of the devotees who come to our temple, and then we ask them, hey, do you want to eat prasadam? They say, they never correct. It's very gently they say, oh no, right now I don't want to honor prasadam. I'll honor prasadam at 1:30. So it's just like they're not even thinking of prasadam as something to enjoy. They're thinking prasadam as something which needs to be respected. It has to be honored. So this is their vision. We need to sit down and eat. We should not be standing and walking around. And sometimes, our devotees, they criticize, oh, there's no salt in this, no, that's not there, this is not there. Instead of that, right, we should praise the prasadam. We're very, very fortunate to even have a morsel of prasadam. and we should not waste it unnecessarily. If there's too much, we can even put for the birds, if it's close by outside in the deck. So like this, we can, become very conscious of what we are honoring each time when we are sitting in front of prasadam. Next is topic of time. We need to respect the time of other devotees or anybody as such. Time is Krishna himself. Time is very precious, especially human form of life, right? Which is meant for developing our own inherent love for Krishna, a Krishna Prema. So time should not be just, wasted whiling away and gossiping or, just talking things which are unnecessary or doing unnecessary things. But just being punctual on time, we're just creating a culture of respect. So when we are on time, we're telling the other person, I respect your time. And that other person will also be able to respect your time just by seeing your punctuality, right? And say, for example, we are waiting and then somebody is like really late and they're not there. We should always have something with us to do or to read or probably chant so that we are not wasting our time if the other person is late, right? So we always keep something with us either to read or to chant, or maybe we need to mentally do some to-do list. What we can accomplish either in this week, or things which has to be done. That can be done instead of just whiling away our time and then just cursing the other person that this person is late, and just getting into the mode of ignorance, right? We can plan. We can still have our consciousness and the sadhguna by just trying to use that time. Next is treating human beings, which is human beings. So we always have this thing, Aditi Devo Bhava. That means guests should be treated as an Aditi. That means a person is coming to our house without a titi. Titi means a time, right? So without knowing the time the person is coming, he's Aditi. This devotee or guest has to be honored, just like God himself, right? And when we meet, and same thing when it comes to our parents, our superiors, our elders, our gurus, our sadhus, devotees, everybody needs to be really honored, right? We should not just take them for granted. Hanuman was so great himself, but yet he chose to respect all the other Vanaras. We have Sanatan Goswami. He was respecting even Nawab Hussain Shah. Who was he? He was the king. And he was not a devotee, yet he chose to respect. Why? Because this devotee is connected as a part and parcel of Krishna. So we respect people because either they are, of that age, or they have some social standing. For all these, all these different criteria, respect has to go there. We should not disrespect them. And much more than everything, the fact that this soul belongs to Krishna. The soul is trying to establish their relationship with Krishna. So our respect should go more so towards the devotee, more so towards the Vaishnava devotee, more so towards the Guru, and ultimately Krishna himself. We should be very, very cautious when we are standing in front of the deity or the deity in the temple, being really aware that Krishna is standing in front of us, is giving us an opportunity to serve him, so that we can develop our dominant love for him. So this is the opportunity. But then so many times in either kirtan or during the aartis, right, we notice that devotees are just talking, they're just exchanging pleasantries, and it's just sometimes it even goes from pleasantries to just gossiping about things. There are aartis happening for the Lord, and then sankirtan means the main person is singing, and then it's a chance for all of us to be part of the kirtan and glorify the Lord. So Sankirtan is just like in some, one Vatsina devotee Mataji, she was sharing like how Krishna is like dancing with all the gopis, like that, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, right? All these and all devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when they are taking part in Sankirtan, it's just like the Rasa Leela. Everybody's dancing, right? Like that. We are like chanting the holy names and singing and dancing. It's just likened towards that. So in this kind of an opportunity in the temple, when we are standing in front of the deities and then there's kirtan happening, we are just talking and gossiping. Some people are talking and gossiping, and then the attention is away from the Lord. Attention is completely away from Krishna, Radharani, from Jagannath, Subhadra, Balram, Gaurnitai. And then what is it? I mean, we are just becoming too familiar with it. When we're becoming very familiar, we are understanding the spiritual significance. When our gratitude goes really down, we're not, really having value for it. We're not respecting it. when we're not able to respect because we're not reading the scriptures, we're not understanding Prabhupada's instructions, our Guru's instructions, the devotees, Vaishnava's instructions, and we are not able to understand and hear and keep it and value it and respect it, right? Then these are the kind of activities which will naturally happen, right? It's very natural. So we should become really very, very aware of it. It is such a wonderful opportunity which is presented to us by Krishna and by all the devotees' mercy. And then what are we doing, right? So become this whole culture of bhakti means we should become very, very aware. We have this chance, and it's just like using a razor blade. Either we cut or we are getting a clean shave, right? So it's like that. It's so potent, so powerful that we are making the choice. The way we are handling, the way we give respect, the results will happen exactly like that, right? So how we treat, the choices we make will decide our destination. It'll decide whether we are actually fast tracking on the path of bhakti on this during the stage of anartha nivritti. Are we going fast or are we going slow? Anartha nivritti as such can take lifetimes actually, and if you're really serious, it can be very within a lifetime. Otherwise, usually anartha nivritti spans for many lives. So becoming aware of our anartha is very important. So next, next point that I wanted to speak about is something called self-awareness. Once when we become aware of our own, emotions, our own nature, right? Being able to assess ourselves accurately. So just by this becoming self-aware, right? Then we'll be able to manage our emotions. We'll be able to have a very transparent kind of relationship with others, and we'll be able to even do self-control, right? Just by becoming self-aware. So the self-awareness is something which we need to really work upon, right? For example, we might not be in a very pleasant mood, sometimes. And then at that time, we don't want to, approach another person if we have to talk or we need to give some heads up. We don't want to do that when we are not in a proper mood. So just becoming aware that right now I'm not in this correct, my disposition is not right. I'm just deteriorated. Just again, so all this will become can put a stop to this kind of situation, or we can avoid such situations. Why? Just by becoming self-aware. When we become self-aware, we can do self-management, right? And then slowly, when we are able to understand our own needs, our own feelings, right? Then what happens? Slowly, we'll have the empowerment by the mercy of Guru and Krishna that we can understand the other person's feeling, the way they think, the way they react. This is called social awareness. So slowly we'll be able to understand, we'll be able to, have empathy for the other person. We'll be able to serve them properly according to their needs. Sometimes, somebody will just snap like this at you. They might be going through something which they're not telling you. But then slowly when you talk or through another person, you get to know what's going on with them. Then you'll realize, then, oh, naturally there'll be so much of sympathy for that person. But why didn't we feel the first time? Because we expected that they will respect us, and they'll respect when we make what do you say, a request to them. They will respect. They did not. They just snapped at you, and then suddenly the other Mataji will say, what happened? The person lost so and so. The father or mother, somebody, the person lost, and then they're in a very bad mood, in a very, very what is it, disturbed state of mind. And then when we realize it, we're like, oh my God, and then we feel so this, and naturally in the heart there is so much, the heart gets softened, and there's so much of sympathy towards this person. So that's the reason why we need to have social awareness also. When somebody is very nice all the time, suddenly they're behaving in a different way, we need to understand, give them some time. There might be things which we are not aware of. Sometimes the person does not want to reveal because of certain things. We just have to give them space. So this kind of what do you say? This kind of awareness is called social awareness. When our own self-awareness is high, social awareness will also come because we are practicing with ourselves. Then we can practice it, the same thing with others. When that happens, right, we can even do relationship management. Then we can deal with proper any conflicts which will happen. Right, we'll be able to be better equipped to deal with conflicts with others. just because we know how they think, what are their needs, how do we react, right? Because we're aware of ourselves. Now we are aware of others. Now we know how these kind of interactions happen. So there's so much of collaboration, teamwork, everything can happen. We can even influence others. We can help them and troubleshoot um, their problems. All these kind of things can happen when relationship management can happen when the social awareness is also present. So with after this point, I wanted to also say, when we are thinking about respect, right? Everything comes usually in the form of our communication. The psychologists say only like 15% or 13% is what people understand. Whatever we are communicating, only 13% is what we say, right? A huge chunk, almost like uh, 35% or so, is how we are, speaking the voice modulation with the tone with which we are communicating. Another 40% is, the other person perceives the communication happens with this tone. And the rest, huge chunk, another 60% or so, is our body language. So this is how communication really happens. It's not how much we say, it's how we say, what really matters. Of course, the choice of words it does play a very important role. But just imagine the tone in which we are conveying our body language has a huge impact. People can perceive the same thing. Like, just like say, for example, sit down is different. Sit down, that's like, just by increasing that voice, my voice modulation, I kind of changed. Then what happened? You could see that, there's a different her, the way she's saying is completely different, something wrong, or like, she's upset. This is the kind of feeling that you get. So voice, how I'm saying. And when I say sit down with my hand, my body language, how do you sense it? It's gonna be different, right? So this whole idea of giving respect, it feels it's a lot with how we are keeping our mind steady. If our mind is okay, the kind of words which comes out or the way we are presenting or the way we are communicating can be uh, checked. It'll be proper. So we need to be silent when we understand. Silence means it's not like you're just quiet all the time like a mountain. No, no, not like that. But we always speak the truth and we avoid unnecessary gossiping. Should also be very satisfied in our heart. Then we will also, by this being satisfied or like having gratitude, we will stop comparing. So one is satisfaction, one is having this very, silent kind of a mode. Other one is having very simple heart. And the heart is simple, right? Then there's no duplicity of nature. And then there is, just being very authentic. When we are simple, we'll have a very grateful, happy heart. And then self-control, that means all our senses are we're following the four regulative principles. Like that, they say, right? Four regulative principles are they are the ways and means for our actual freedom. So this can also be accessed by just following these things. One is satisfaction, one is having being very silent, simplicity, and self-control. When we are able to do this, right, our mind automatically comes in the mode of goodness. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, right, our speech, like how I said, we will be thoughtful in the words that we choose. And now, always also remember the tone in which we are communicating, our body language with which we are communicating, makes a huge impact on the audience or the other person with whom we're choosing to communicate. So respect is given again with our words, where we are, the tone in which we're doing, plus our body language. All of this matters when we are showing respect. Example of this is my Guru Maharaj was I think he was in Hyderabad, and then somebody said like obeisances Maharaj like this, Vanchakalpa Maharaj like this. And then Maharaj is like, what kind of obeisances is this? The person did not pay obeisances like by falling down like how we usually do, right? This was a male devotee, I think, and then Vanchakapa Maharaj like that he said, and he was like really surprised and shocked. This is like the culture, like how it's becoming, right? Usually we used to say in our mails, please accept my humble obeisances, and then one devotee was telling example. What is that? Yeah. Please accept my humble obeisances and please accept obeisances. Then obeisances. Then there's this dandavats. And then that also just gets disappeared. Then this, heck, the way we are dealing with devotees, even when we are writing and communicating, things just change, just similarity breeds contempt. So we should be very careful. The way we are, diluting this whole spiritual culture. We should not, even if it's so difficult. As another senior devotee, he was saying, I've written thousands of emails, and every time there's an initiated devotee's name, I've always put HG, that means His Grace so and so, or His Grace Mataji's name, His Grace Prabhuji's name. I've never forgotten HG. And then when it comes to gurus, I've always written HH, holiness, His Holiness. Right? I've never forgotten that. You can just go scan through all my, or just go through all my thousands of emails. I've never, not specified that. So that just shows how much aware this person is, how much just in such small activities, if he's being so aware, imagine how he deals. It's just like he's made it as a habit. And then when it becomes a habit, when you're regularly doing it, it will slowly get, inculcated in your mind and then slowly in your heart also. Sometimes something which is new, we cannot just directly, it will not come from the heart. It should at least come from the mind, from your mouth. Maybe it's just lip deep. It's okay. After some time, it's going to become heart deep. But if you're not even going to be saying it lip deep in the beginning, how can you even reach the heart level, right? You might feel in the beginning, oh my God, this is like I can't keep saying all these, His grace or His grace so and so. I cannot say that. It's just not heart deep. It's okay. Just do it because this is a special culture. Somebody asked one devotee of Srila Prabhupada, he told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, it's very difficult for me to pay obeisances to you. I see all these other God brothers, and God sisters, they're all paying obeisances when they come. You is actually a personal servant of Srila Prabhupada. I feel so guilty, Prabhupada. I don't feel like paying obeisances. He's being really honest, and Prabhupada said, you just do it. Just by doing it, slowly you will start feeling it, and that you want to do it, it'll come to you. So you just do it. So this devotee started, this disciple started just following what Prabhupada said. And then he realized at one point it was just coming, he was just doing it out of, following the orders, the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. And then slowly it became, he understood it was coming from his heart. From his heart level, he was able to pay obeisances. So likewise, we can also become aware of the, some of the things that we are not doing, and then which shows that we're not giving respect. It's a spiritual culture, it's there, and then we just need to imbibe it and then do it. In the beginning it's hard, like any good habit that we start, it's hard, but then we stick with it and then it just continues. So with this, I'd like to give some spiritual scriptural pastimes where respect was not given and what was the effect, where another set of pastimes where respect is given and what is the effect of it. The first one is Indra in sixth canto. He disrespects his spiritual master Brihaspati. Brihaspati comes in, and then Indra doesn't offer obeisances. He does not respect his spiritual master. As such, he goes through a lot of trouble. Same Indra again when Durvasmuni comes, and then he wants to give this garland which he was wearing to Indra. Indra will be sitting on his elephant, Airavata. And then Indra has got a lot of garlands on his neck. And then he thinks, oh, let Airavata also get the garland that Durvasmuni is giving. So he just takes the garland that Durvasmuni gives, he gives it to Airavata. Airavata is an elephant. He takes it around his trunk, and then he kind of pulls it, and then all the flowers just get, and they'll all fall apart. And then the garland is on the ground, and then this Airavata is like stamping it with his feet. This really, what is it, hurts Durvasmuni, and then he just walks away. And the effect of this kind of a disobedience and not giving respect to Durvasmuni, again, Indra will become, he has to face a lot of problem later on because of this disrespecting his guru, and then later Durvasmuni. We can see how if a great spiritual personality comes, by not giving respect, one loses so many, all the opulences, the spiritual credits, everything good goes away. That's exactly what happens to Indra, who is the king of heavens. He's the best amongst everybody, right? And then that's the reason why he's the king. And then just by being very, that by not we can always think that it's the pride that Indra had, because of which he did not respect, because of which he did what he did. But he had the pride. Means before that pride erupted in his heart, right? Or before it took birth, what was it? He was so much thinking himself was so great. He did not have the ability to respect. So it all started from disrespecting Brahaspati, disrespecting Durvasana. Then, his entire fall down would happen. Then we can see the next case of Romaharshan Sutta. Romaharshan Sutta has been selected by the entire group of, all the sages to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. At that time, Balram will come.
We cannot really hear you. Like it's can't hear you. ಏನಾಯ್ತು? ಹಾ. ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಆಫ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು.
Okay, sorry. That alarm. So sorry. Now it's okay, right? Okay. Next is Romaharshan Sutta. So all these assembled devotees, they are just sitting, they're waiting for Romaharshan Sutta is already speaking. At that time, we have our Balramji entering. And the Romaharshan Sutta says, all of these sages, they have chosen me to speak the Bhagavatam. What's the necessity for me to pay obeisances to Lord Balram? Balram is the spiritual master of everybody. He knows the scriptures. He's speaking Bhagavatam, but he doesn't do that. And then Balram, being the teacher, right? He immediately wants to rectify the situation. And then by just touching the Kushagras, right? Romaharshan Sutta is killed. And then at that time, all the sages says, we have blessed him with a long life so that he can speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Balramji says, though if he wants to honor all the brahmanas, he says he will live through his son Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami, he will continue to give the Bhagavatam for all of you. He will speak. Don't worry about it. And then he's so nice, Balram. He wants to respect the brahmanas apart from saying and praying, instilling Sutta Goswami to speak. He'll also say, to all the brahmanas, if you want, I will bring back Romaharshan Sutta back to life if that's what you want. And then all the sages, they respect Balramji's decision and say, if you have done this, if you have chosen to put him to an end, we respect it. That's totally fine. And then this is how Balram is giving respect to the brahmanas in the assembly. And also Balramji will go to pilgrimage for this act of killing Romaharshan Sutta. So we can see how when respect was not given, what was the end? What happened to Romaharshan Sutta? Then we have Krishna's son, Samba. I think I'll go a little quick, another 5 minutes, I'll be done. Krishna's son, Samba. He and his other, friends, they will act like they will just dress Samba as a pregnant girl, and then they'll take him in front of the Durvas Muni and Narad Muni and then say, who do you think this pregnant woman will give birth to, a boy or a girl? And then of course, the munis are like, they're self-aware. I mean, they know everything and they'll get very disturbed that they're just mocking us. So they will say it's neither a boy, neither a girl, but a lump of what? Iron. It'll bring destruction to the entire Yadu dynasty. This is what the munis will say. So again, and not respecting the great acharyas, Durvas Muni and Narad Muni, right? Samba and his friends. This is how they will treat disrespecting the munis, and the end result is the entire Yadukul will get destroyed by this act. Of course, it is a leela. Definitely, it's a leela. But then we need to understand how we need to respect, right? What is that we can take? Not just thinking this is the leela, and then this is just the pastime of the Lord, and then we have nothing to take from it. Then we have examples of when respect is actually given from the Chaitanya Leela. We have Shiva's Acharya. Shiva's Acharya is told by his mother to go take darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri. Before that, she'll say, go to Janava Mata and take her blessings. So Janava Mata will say, there's Abhiram Thakur, who's a great devotee. You go take blessings from him. So Srinivas Acharya, he'll go to him. And then Abhiram Thakur will say, "Oh, you've traveled for so long, you must be really tired. So I'll give you some money, go to the market, get some fruits, get something for yourself, cook, offer it to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in your mind mentally, and then you honor." So he will do exactly like that. And just before honoring, four devotees will come and say, they'll not know him, but then they'll come and say, my dear Abhiram Thakur, sorry, yeah, my dear Srinivas Acharya, we're really, really hungry. We're so, we're extremely emancipated. Please, can we have that food that you've done? And then he'll say, "Oh, I just cooked this for you. I'm like so much, I'm just completely full and happy. You can just please take it." And then they will honor it. They are actually the four servants of Abhiram Thakur. Abhiram Thakur wants to test how is this person, Srinivas Acharya. So, and then he'll feel so happy that this Srinivas Acharya is he knows how to respect. This person is so hungry. He never thought about his tummy, but then he was thinking about these four devotees. And then he just gave away all his prasadam, right? So then, of course, Abhiram Thakur with his whip, he has a very famous whip called the Jayamangal. Just by hitting or like touching the whip to the person, their inherent dormant love for Krishna just gets erupted, and then he'll keep touching. And then the wife of Abhiram Thakur will say, "Oh my God, you're giving too much to poor Srinivas Acharya. Please stop." He will respect his wife and stop. Of course, by that time, Srinivas Acharya is like in great ecstasy because his love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, love for Krishna is like completely awakened. So he's very, very happy. Again, now we have Ram Navami coming next week. So some of the pastimes where respect is given from Ram Leela. Beautiful. We have Vibhishan. Vibhishan comes to meet Lord Rama. At that time, right? He is like he's so much like what do you say? There's so much of beauty and effulgence from Vibhishan's face. Just seeing that Hanuman is able to understand, because Hanuman is a very good face reader. And then at that time, Ram will ask all these assembled people on his side. He says, "Should I accept Vibhishan or should I not accept?" And then Sugriva says, "No, no, you should not. He's from the enemy side. He is the fourth brother, right? We have Ravana, we have Kumbhakarna, and then Suparnaka and Vibhishan. Vibhishan is given the boon that he'll become a devotee. The rest will become demons because they're born of a demoniac mother. But then the sage with whom she has these four kids, right? He will say the last one will be a devotee because she'll feel very bad. The whole idea of choosing that Muni was she wanted to have strong sons. And then he'll say there'll all be demons because you've come at the wrong time. She'll say at least please, then but the boon will be like the last one will be the devotee. So the Vishnu is a devotee. So despite stopping Ravan from not letting giving good advice to Ravan and saying please allow Mother Sita to go back, he doesn't choose to do that, right? And then he will completely banish Vibhishan. So Vibhishan comes this side, and Lord Rama says, "What should I do?" So that's the time. Hanuman says, "Yes, accept him. He's a good face reader. He'll realize that he's very good. He has a pure intention to take shelter and surrender of Lord Rama's feet." So that's what Hanuman says. But then we have Sugriva, who is actually the king, right? Hanuman is under Sugriva, but Sugriva says, "No, no, he's an enemy. You cannot accept him. You never know he's a spy." So we can just see that Sugriva, even though he's the king, he still honors, and then ultimately, of course, Rama says, "I will." He accepts anybody who comes to me and even once says that I am yours, Lord Ram. From this day, I will give him fearlessness and I will give him complete shelter. This is my vow. This is what Lord Ram says, and he accepts the vision. But the whole idea is like how Ram is respecting everybody's opinion, and he'll ask each person, and also how Sugriva, even though he's a king, he doesn't feel insulted that Hanuman is below me. And look at this, Hanuman is voicing his opinion against what is my wish. I told don't, and then Hanuman is saying yes, accept. But he doesn't feel like that. He doesn't feel jilted and what do you say? He doesn't feel disrespected. That is Sugriva. And Hanuman also, he doesn't think, look at my king, Sugriva. This is how he's saying. Let's have a change in management. Let's just change him and then make another different person as my king. He doesn't, he also respects. So everybody is respecting each other, which is just so beautiful to see. You can also see when the whole thing happens and then Mother Sita is rescued. They're all flying back. When they're flying back in their vimana from Sri Lanka back to Ayodhya, right? Ram stops over at Rameshwaram. That time, Ram wants to worship Lord or pay respects to Lord Shiva. Why? Because he feels he has killed his devotee. Ravan was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So, so Lord Ram feels like I should, do Abhishek to Lord Shiva. There is no Shiva Lingam. So Hanuman goes to fetch Shiva Lingam from Mount Kailasha, but by the time he comes, it'll be too late. So Mother Sita would have done a mud Shivalinga. And then Ram, just when he's about to worship, Hanuman will come. And then Ram will say, I'll worship your Shivalinga first, Hanuman, and then I'll worship Mother Sita's. So he will worship. So again, he's giving respect to Hanuman. And just imagine how he's respecting Lord Shiva, Rama. So beautiful, right? Just because his devotee, Ravan, was killed by him, he's respecting him. So it's just amazing. And also, when Ravan is killed, right? Rama is telling to Vibhishan, you do his final cremation. You take care of his final rites. And Vibhishan is like, he's so sinful, Lord, I cannot do. Rama says, no, you have to respect. So he's respecting the demon, Ravana, and then he's respecting the Lord of Ravana, which is not Shiva. This is how he's respecting. So we can learn from this beautiful Ramayana how to give respect to each other. And then again in Mahabharata, we have Lord Krishna during the Rajasuya Yagya, right? He is chosen as the Argya. The Argya Puja is performed to Lord Krishna, which is the most important, the topmost person is offered this kind of puja. That time, all the people in the assembly, right, they understand that he's Supreme Lord, not Supreme Lord, that he is the most important person. Puja is offered, everybody is so respectful. But the kind of service that Lord Krishna does, everybody does different service. Somebody is like, offering garland, somebody is accepting the present, somebody's taking care of the food, Bhima is taking care of the food. Lord Krishna, what does he do after the Agya Puja? He comes down, he's washing the feet of all the Brahmanas who've come to attend this Rajasuya Yagya. This is the greatness of Krishna. He himself is honoring and respecting all the devotees. And to end again, the last one will be our dear Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada was sick, when he had come here to New York, when he was sick in New York, and then there's Brahmananda Prabhu, who's like, he's searching. Where can I, what do you say? Where can I, what can I do? I cannot find a doctor at this point. And then he's searching everywhere. And he gets an intern who's just, because it's a Sunday, and then Prabhupada has got a heart attack. And Ramananda is like in panicking. They can't get doctor. They can't take him to the hospital. At that time, he'll just get this intern who's newly graduated. And then he'll come and look at the Swamiji, and then he'll say, oh, Swamiji, you pray a lot. Because you're praying a lot, you're so sick. You should be doing some physical exercise. You should walk. And that time, Ramananda is like very upset. He's like, how can you say my Swamiji is praying a lot? Like, you are disrespecting. Like that, he'll think. But after he goes on, Prabhupada is like, no, that person he's told some very good advice. Yes, I should start walking. So from that time, Prabhupada just takes advice of a newly graduated intern that yes, I should start walking. From that time, Prabhupada will start walking. Then we have the famous morning walk conversations, everything that Prabhupada does. So he's respecting. Look at that. Look at our dear Srila Prabhupada. Look at the way he respected. So with this, I'd like to end. I think I don't know whether we have time for like a few questions or any comments, comments, corrections, your thoughts, dear devotees. At this point, we can take. Thank you so much for your time, attention. Really grateful to you.
We have a comment in the chat box, so I can read it. Namaskar. He says, your session was truly incredible. Thank you immensely. Eagerly awaiting your next session.
Thank you, Ashika. I think Ashika dropped.
She left because she had to rush for something. Any other comments or feedback for Taruni Radha? My only feedback is next time you can leave a little bit room for questions and comments. Thank you.
I was talking so slowly.
I want to hear you, but I think it's also nice to have them.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. What was it, Shirad?
I said, as much as we also like to have a discussion because you always give those perfect answers to the imperfect questions.
No. I felt very enriched, just talking about this topic, respect, kind of an underrated thing. But then when you think back on the Trinada Pisanichina verse, right? How important to constantly be able to chant the holy name, giving respect but not expecting. It's so beautiful, right? So I just felt, yeah.
The thing I was thinking is Rama Navami is coming. And so maybe next week you can choose a topic, what you just mentioned about how we can learn those different lessons from my characters and the qualities that you mentioned. If you like, if you were already studying it, or whatever it is that you are actively researching or studying on this topic.
Different characteristics, what we can learn from each personality. Is that what you're saying?
What you mentioned about Hanuman, and just those instances were really, the way you unpacked it was very nice. I was thinking maybe you could do something like that just based on Ramayana characters.
Yeah, got it. Got it. Yeah, I think I should. I'll work on it. Naturally. I was just I was zooming in their characters to see how they were respecting, where all they were exhibiting this beautiful quality of respecting each other. That is what I was zooming in today's class. But then, what is it that they signify in the whole of Ramayana, the important characteristics? Maybe that is something which I can focus in the next class. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll do that.
That would be nice to meditate and prepare our hearts, purify.
Anything which touched your heart today?
Huh?
Anything which touched your heart? Something which you want to apply, something you want to add?
I was going through a particular situation. Somebody was trying to be, I mean, it sounds that they were trying to be disrespectful, but they were not as respectful as I expected them to be. And then in my mind, I was not respecting that person much. So after today's talk, after I heard from you, I thought, well, maybe that person had bad experiences in the past and they were trying to, like trying to give a benefit of the doubt why that person might be blocking me, or why that blocking means there's a service I wanted to offer, which is anything I'm already something I'm doing. But then the way the answer came was almost like I am the one trying to do a favor, but the person is putting too many filters to that service. So immediately there was a sense of like, come on, I should be more respected, more respected. There was that. And then in the mind, I was like, why that person is doing that? And they were like tamas guna response, like, I don't want to, I have a right to this person, and I'm just going to say, you know what, I'm not doing that service anymore for you, whatever. Or in Rajas Guna, the mind starts to put the person down and put myself up or something, whatever, anything, you, for the mind, you can find anything to put somebody down. Because they were talking about standards. And I was like, yeah, but the person themselves have tattoo and this and that. What kind of stuff? Immediately the mind wanted to like go there. And then I was like, no, it's not, that's not the point. That's not the point. So yeah, the point about respect is not just one way, right? It's two ways. Like sometimes it's both ways. And as much as it's important to not offend others, it is also important to process what it is that is making me feel disrespected, and take a look at it, and also give the benefit of the doubt to those people. Like I said, maybe they had a bad experience with somebody. And most of all, I'm actually grateful because without that trigger, I wouldn't be introspecting. So because of that trigger, my kalmashas, something you mentioned in the talk also, it's coming up to be seen, to be processed. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing because it's like Nidra Mataji this morning, she gave a class, right? And she was saying curative treatment of Krishna. Whenever we go through some bad, like disrespect, I'm thinking especially disrespect, when I am on the other end of it, I must see it as a curative treatment of Krishna. Because why is it curative? Like, let's say there is a boil and then they have to pull it out. When you pull it out, there's going to be some bad stuff that comes out. So similarly, when Krishna squeezes, I mean, the disrespect happens, we are squeezed. Then what comes out, I can actually look and say, oh my God, I didn't know that stuff was inside. What? What? Like that. So, of course, I don't want to apply it the other way around. I can't go disrespecting others, saying it will be a good service for you. I don't
Oh, right. Yeah.
want to pop their boils. That's not my job.
That's true. Sometimes, they don't have the culture of respecting only. They're just not born and brought up in that culture. What to do? So their nature is like that. They don't know. So that could also be something which we can kind of think.
You
And
would like you would like let go, right? But sometime I
it hurts me. It hurts me. I'm also human being. Oh yeah, this important thing I forgot to say. See, ultimately, we are just looking at this covering. This was part of my thing, class today. I forgot to say. So sorry about it. Yeah, but so important. See, ultimately, beyond how a person looks, what they are, male, female, whatever, every characteristic you can think about external characteristics. But inside, right, the feelings are the same because everybody's a soul. Everybody has feelings. Those
am
feelings hurt.
woman, white.
Everybody are hurt. So why we need to give respect despite all these external things that we see, process everything internally. Everybody has got feelings, and that gets hurt. That gets hurt when we don't give respect. But
And
then when people don't give, like amani dena. So we need to do that our part. Like we are keep doing our
yes,
what is in our control we are able to do. And then expecting respect, that's something which the other person they have to do if their part if they want to do. But if they choose not to do also, we should not be so much into it.
right.
Because we just to become very detached. It's not easy because it hurts us. We have feelings too, right? We have feelings what to do. But then we need to understand either they don't know how to do it or they're not aware of it. They have their, as you said, give them the benefit of doubt. And then it's just their culture, the way they have grown and got born and brought up with their choices and
Yeah,
different things.
recovery language with the meetings that we have, morning meetings, in the recovery
Maybe
language,
tomorrow.
people
Yesterday, I thought, like, why you started on a solar thing day, right? Something auspicious, you don't start something, right? Like that, right?
very auspicious. It depends on what is the project.
Oh, okay, okay. I wanted to ask. Okay.
But for spiritual recovery, Anartha Nivritti, the best day possible.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Impossible becomes possible in those dimensions.
Very
Uh,
nice.
in the recovery language, the mantra is called keeping your side of the road clean.
Mm.
We
Correct.
don't look and say, look, your side of the road is dirty. We focus on keeping my side of the road clean.
Correct. Correct. That's what na Amani thing. Amana, what's it called? I forgot.
And then,
Essential term. Amani, Amana Dena. Yeah, so we have to do our part and then just leave the other part. Like so beautiful, no? Like I'm so happy to just see is the connection between this recovery thing and the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying what to do, what not to expect. Like wow, so beautiful. And most of the time we are not stuck with what we cannot do. We're stuck with what we're not getting, The mind keeps going that we're not getting. We're
yes,
half of a problem, I think, when after we've come certain ways, certain with the devotees, and half the problem is like we're not getting it.
yes,
My needs of being respected and then taken care of, and whatever, etc., etc. It's not being done. It's not being done. So most of the time, it's just that what we are not getting, but we forget what we have got. So when we become that grateful part, when we
ex-
look at all that, right, then we'll become very satisfied. But then again, it's a choice, and then it's cultivation. Like how
yeah,
you said, the
that's
level of meetings will help us to cultivate it.
exactly. Thank you,
Okay.
Taruni, Radha.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you
Um,
so much.